So if you're pretty familiar with a lot of online course platforms today, one of the things that you will find inherent in all of the feature sets for almost every single one of them is a page builder. And so you have the ability to go through and drag and drop and build out your own landing pages and structure out the layout of each individual course or lesson page, and you can upload your own logo. And so the question I always ask is, why is it that you can't build out your own landing page on YouTube? Why isn't that in YouTube you don't have the option to pick which logo shows up in the top left-hand corner? Why is it that you don't get to pick which side the sidebar appears on? It turns out there's actually a really good reason for this, and it is for the sake of the viewer. If every single page on YouTube looked different, it would be jarring and difficult for the user to adapt to each and every video page that they were landing on. The exact same thing applies to online courses. The fact that on many online course platforms, every single teacher is siloed off from one another, and every single teacher has a completely different looking landing page, a completely different looking course, only makes it more jarring if that student decides to go from teacher A to teacher B, because most people who like to learn a lot. Now you might be thinking, well, that doesn't really matter because I have my students, so I'm not really worried about other teachers. But what you might be missing out on is the same thing that YouTube's greatest advantage is, and that is referring people to different videos. If somebody watches somebody else's class and then is done and wants to learn something else, who's to say they couldn't find and discover your class as an end result? So that's one of the reasons why when I was building TeachKit, I wanted to make sure that every single learning experience is the same for every course, and that it cross-references and promotes different classes to different people based upon their interests. Right now, there's just such a chasm between the way that something like YouTube and social media platforms work to drive interest-based content for people, as opposed to online courses, which are very old, archaic, academic, and siloed off, and that doesn't really help anyone. It doesn't help the student, and it doesn't help the teacher either.